You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright, the kind you wanna stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control. The ones that don't let you lose your soul.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's podcast. I am Josh, and I am here with Nicole, Pastor Ron, and Vince Sierra, and we are the Off the Mountain crew. We're here with you this week, and we're going to have some fun and talk about a bunch of random stuff, as we normally do.
And Nicole's back.
Nicole's back.
Yay. Back,
yes.
Your son got his braces.
Yes, he did. I mean, he's now eating officially again, so we're good.
Does he like them?
Oh, no.
Really?
Okay, for the first couple, days, he hated them. But now, braces are a cool thing.
That's what I
hear.
hear.
Have you noticed that?
That's what I hear. My daughter wants one, wants them so bad. She's like, I want braces now, Daddy. I'm like, hey, just hang on.
Why are they cool?
She's still
I have
losing
no
her
idea.
teeth, though. I don't know how.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Right?
She might change her mind when she has them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They're uncomfortable, aren't they?
That's what I hear.
Horrible.
That's what I hear.
How would we know in our generation?
I don't know.
Did
in my
any of you have
generation,
braces?
especially.
No.
I never had braces
But
either.
Tara had a retainer or something. She had something.
I don't know what she had. Not sure.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just her dad.
Yeah.
That was her mother's department.
Fair enough.
Well, what are you going to talk about? I mean, I usually have something good to start with. I don't have anything today. So, I mean, we're going to end up talking about being a prepper. And we're going to talk about emergency situations. Are you ready? So if you want to go get someone that you know this topic would be interesting to, go get them. Yeah, because we're going to talk about that. A flood comes, an earthquake, a disaster. Are we ready? But before that, you said you had something about AI?
Yeah, so, I don't, I'm not a prepper, I mean, I have insurance.
You might be after this.
Is that the beginning of prepping? I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I think we should be prepared. They always, ever since I was a little kid, they said we should be prepared for, it was the earthquake. That was the, in California. Be prepared for the big one, they would say. And so they'd say you should have this much food, this much water. And I agree. I think that's important. I mean, what if, something happens and the grid goes down and all of a sudden our infrastructure is down? The most eye-opening moment in my life was during COVID when we couldn't find toilet paper. And I know that's silly, but that was a thing, Can't find toilet paper because everyone panicked. And it wasn't even that the toilet paper was not being distributed normally. It was.
People were hoarding it.
It's just that people, somebody, it's like one store, I don't know how it happened, but one store probably ran out and everybody's like, oh no. And
panicked.
Yeah. Did that catch you by surprise? For me, toilet
little
paper was
bit,
the
yeah.
last thing that I thought to panic over.
The funny thing is we were in Tehachapi, and I remember I was with Vince and a couple other guys. And we were like, let's just go to Walmart real quick and grab a few things,
Just in case it gets crazy.
Just in case it gets crazy.
Yeah.
And then we get in there and people are kind of going nuts. And so we just kind of jumped into the frenzy and now we were joking. And Vince is like, yeah, you're good, right? Like, we don't need any of this. And he looks at my cart and I had a bunch of toilet paper in there.
Well, we had a friend at the time that had a baby, and they were saying formula. And dude, we went into that Tehachapi, and there was hardly any formula left.
That's a real thing.
That's scary.
It just kind of got really fast.
No, that is very scary. And
I think we all had a cart full of stuff that day.
Right.
Yeah.
I tend to trust humanity, I think, more than I probably should. I believe that, well, I don't know, maybe not more than I should, but I do believe people would come together and help each other because that's.
You would think they would. You would hope they do.
I would hope so. I think what would actually happen if things got really bad, and let's say government was just somehow out of the picture, which would probably be a better thing, to be honest. I think people would kind of tribe up. I think that's what would happen.
Well, let me before I go there, let me give you a basic definition of a prepper. It's the practice of proactively accumulating things for a predicted emergency. Let's go back. Y2K. We lived through that. And Y2K, it was predicted that the computers might not be able to adjust to the dating to the new millennium and century, and it was going to cause a global meltdown and catastrophe. Now, let's go back. Some people really, really went overboard taking this seriously. I didn't overly buy into it. I was a pastor, and I think VBF's style for years has been in the middle of the road. And I told the people, I said, you know what? I don't think there's going to be anything to this. I don't think it's a problem. But, you know, it might not be a bad thing at all to stock up just in case.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the radicals now here, they went all out. They stockpiled with non-perishable food. They moved to rural areas. They bought all kinds of guns and ammo to protect their stash. They were ready to shoot you. I mean, they went away. I bought into it a little bit with the food. I still have bad thoughts about Pat Boone today. He was selling food. He was the spokesperson for this food thing, and they had vacuum packed cans of all kinds of food. Supposed to last your lifetime, right? So we didn't have any money. We were so poor. We scraped together $2,000 and we bought some and talked Debbie's parents into buying some too. And we had that food, and it's laid in our garage for like a decade. And then one day I said, doggone, I bought this, I'm going to start eating it. It was full of worms.
Gross.
All full of worms and maggots. I wanted my money back, but it was too late.
Oh, man.
They filled up, you know, bathtubs of water. And I did fall a little more victim to it than I wanted. I don't know if you remember this or not, Josh, but we lived at Springville, lived on 3 acres. I love that area. I even had a huge gas tank with my own gas pump. And I had it filled with gas.
Oh, that's awesome.
I would gas my own cars
Wow.
up. So I was ready. But some people quit their jobs. They built underground bunkers. And then when it didn't happen, they felt like idiots, I'm sure. But we really maintained a middle of the road because I knew, even with the food I bought, I told your mother, I said, you know what? I'm going to have to share this if it gets that bad. I'm going to have to share it.
Yeah.
But I really, really did believe with my childlike faith that God would do a fishes and loaves thing with it, because I can't turn people down. And that was the same point in time when the church, we had this big water, I don't know where that went to, a big water
It's
container.
still there in the back. Yeah, I still
We filled
think
it
about
up with
all the
drinking
time.
water. And that's when we bought our generator, I think. Well, we might have got that when we built the sanctuary. But we had the generator. We got plenty of diesel on hand. So here's the question I'll get you talking about. Should everyone have a certain amount of emergency supplies on hand for a possible catastrophe? Should everybody do that? What is your opinion?
Well, yes, I definitely think they're really, really quiet. They don't have anything on hand.
We don't have
You
any.
definitely should be prered.
Nikki's sitting there thinking, what don't I have?
I'm like,
but
I'm doomed.
for a lot of reasons. Yeah, Y2K was interesting. Just go back to that for a second. I remember being a senior in high school, and the media, which goes right into the COVID conversation. The media was just amping this thing to the it's gonna happen. And Y2K for you guys
sells.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, if you're if you were young in the 90s, Y2K was this issue where the computers were going to roll back to zero. So it was the idea of, instead of rolling to 2000, everything was going to roll to the 1900s.
Like they didn't think about putting all 4 digits.
Yeah.
for the
Also, computer updates wasn't the internet was just happening. People were maybe downloading music more than they were reading articles. But yeah, so it was this idea, but the media pushed it bad. And I remember in high school, I had it for a long time. I wish I had it like a baseball card. Time magazine put a picture, a magazine article out, and it had Jesus on the cover, and it had like basically destruction around him. I bet you can look it up online if you Google it. It's Time magazine, year 2000. It said Y2K, and it's Jesus is on the front cover, and it's like the cities are in shambles. And I remember thinking like, oh, this is getting real. Like, this is real. I remember showing my dad, and my dad's like, yeah, we'll be okay. We'll survive it. But yeah, so the one thing that I would say is, I think we've been sold a couple times, especially in COVID. It's like the boy who cried wolf, where the media tells us like, be prepared, be prepared, be prepared. And then nothing happens. But that still isn't a reason not to be prepared.
Amen.
Because I do think with COVID, you wouldn't have had the mass freak out of people going to the grocery store had they had some kind of preparation kit in place in the first place. But because people aren't prepared.
Yeah, I think it's like when we think of prepping, most people are like, oh gosh, I can't do that because I can't I can't have enough to be prepared
Sure.
for 10, 12,
Yeah.
15 years, whatever, longer.
Right.
I think it's good to have something to get your family through 6 months. You know what I mean? Because I think there will be some sort of infrastructure in place, but it might not be right away. That's my hope. And
Yeah. So if you were to ask, you mentioned AI earlier in the podcast. If you were to ask ChatGPT today, or or just any probably AI, and say, is there enough resources in the world for everyone? Is there enough resources for the amount of people? That It would say yes, but the problem isn't the resources. The problem is the distribution and the panic that happens that causes the lack of there being an equal amount of resources for everyone. And so I do think if we went into an emergency situation where we went off grid and we lost power, it's not that there isn't enough supply, it's the panic and the distribution that would cause issues and problems.
But that's reality. We have to deal with it, huh? I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
And we think of things like earthquake in California. Right now we have a friend that lives in Texas, and I texted him last night. I was like, dude, I heard you guys have tornadoes coming through there, and they're on watch. They're really close to Dallas, and they're on tornado watch for the whole week. And I was like freaking out for them. But then as I'm going to bed, I'm like, we're always on earthquake watch here in California, and so. But being prepared is important because it's all the things that we can't think of.
Yeah.
It's not like, obviously we know earthquake and fire disaster and we know all these things that can happen, but there's a lot of things that we don't. COVID, you couldn't have guessed it,
No.
And this summer, the super El Nino that's coming through, if it's true and we do hit these record-breaking temps of 120, our power grid can go offline for it could be weeks where they shut down the power.
Good.
And, then you would have an issue because how do you keep food cold?
I want to after go through several reasons
That's
different.
the big thing right there.
What
he just said about keeping food cold. Because I was thinking, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not the best hunter and fisherman in the world, but I'm like, I can go up in the mountains and probably find something to eat. And so, but
I have a list. I'm on prep list. For all you guys, because sometimes we think about prepping too, and we think about it being really expensive.
Yeah.
Like I don't have extra money to prep.
Right.
How do you go and buy, like you said, months of food, and keep it in your garage and
better have a bunch of salt on hand because you might be
There you
salting
go.
that meat.
Yeah. So we'll talk about those things as we go on. But yeah.
Well, the internet AI says that we need 3 days to 2 weeks of emergency things ready to go. And we have in the Bible the story of Joseph where, he interpreted the dream and there was going to be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. And he took advantage of the 7 years of plenty to stock up for the 7 lean years. And I think that
a lot of lessons there.
There is. And, he didn't just shrug it off and go, whatever. Let me ask you another question. Do we have reasons to believe that we could have some hard times ahead of us? Do we have a reason to believe that's possible? I mean,
Absolutely, I think.
I think so too. The way the world's going right now, and you can get magazines on this, and I'd be careful not to get obsessed with it. But I went to Barnes and Noble to see what they had, and they have Mother Earth News, which is a pretty popular one. And Popular Mechanics has a Ultimate Survivor Guide, and Mother Earth News has one called Living Off the Land. And so, they mentioned in this, I did purchase the Popular Mechanics magazine. And it gave several things that we need to be ready for. And they said, like, wildfires, now, especially in California. Do you remember, Josh, maybe Vince, I don't know if you were with us or not, but that fire in Ventura, we were there the night it started, that big fire in Ventura, a huge California fire.
Yeah. Thomas fire.
And man, it hit everybody by surprise.
I had never felt so apocalyptic in my life because I was up all night that night. All night. I had a new baby, and I was like, in dad mode. But I was up all night. I found on the website, you can like go to a website and like it'll pull up the police scanner, or the fire scanner, the emergency scanners. So I'm sitting there listening to the firefighters go back and forth on. They're like, we lost that house, we lost this house, we lost that house. There's nothing we can do. And in my mind, I mean, Vince lived close to the area where these houses are burning down.
It burning.
And
on
Ventura
the
is not a big city,
Right.
So from where I lived, I got up in my truck on top of the roof of my truck, and I looked at the mountain, and I just saw fire and darkness. And I was like, this is crazy.
All
I was
the
like,
power went
and
out,
then,
yeah.
And then
It
I
was-
started
it was
thinking
weird.
And then I started thinking about what you always said. You've always said
Yeah.
to me, always keep your gas tank full.
Yep.
And I thought, I need to get gas
Yep.
just in case. So I go to the gas station, shut down completely.
Yeah, power was out.
No
Couldn't
gas.
pump gas.
No gas. And I'm like, oh, this is how it happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so everything turned out to be fine.
Pastor Brad did the same thing. He said, you've been preaching that to all of us, Josh, Vince, all of us, to keep our gas tank full at night.
Right.
And Brad said, I will never go to bed again with an empty gas tank.
was
Pastor
crazy how
Brad
fast
literally
it happened.
it was in his backyard.
I know.
They were like
Who?
squirting it with
Oh, yeah.
water.
Yeah,
Brad, I mean, it was wild.
But we had 3 members of our church, people that owned our building, and there was 3 people, I could name them if I think of their names. And we went to prayer for them, and none of the 3 lost their houses.
Yeah.
And they were
Cool.
surrounded by
Surrounded.
fire. I mean, just yards away. But what I saw was this, you couldn't even walk to your car very far without getting choked up by smoke.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to the store, and you couldn't find a mask anywhere. They weren't there.
Oh, right. Yeah.
People got them.
Yeah.
And so, blizzards was another one they mentioned. We don't have that problem as bad.
Ooh.
See, that's what I grew up with. Like,
but-
I grew up in Indiana, and we would have like the ice storms.
Mm-hmm.
But you knew. Here's the thing: you knew that was coming. That's a different thing between like ice storms and
Yeah.
hurricanes
True.
versus like a fire or an earthquake. Like,
Yeah.
if you can prepare in advance, people like they would all go out to the grocery. They would all get everything. They kind of shared. You were ready for that to happen. But the earthquakes and the fires. Now that I'm here in California, they rattle me a little bit more because you have no idea when that could happen.
Yeah.
They're saying this year, and again, this is just what they say, but there's no reason not to be prepared that California could have its first hurricane season with the El Nino coming through. The water's warmer than
Well,
usual for the first time.
We had one, bro. Remember, like last year or 2 years ago, I think there was we had a hurricane off the coast, but it affected the crops in the Central Valley here. Do you remember that?
I don't
A couple
know.
months ago or a couple years ago?
Oh.
It did. It was like they called it that. And
We were camping that weekend.
really?
That the rain came through and they said
Yeah.
it was hurricane. We decided
yeah.
to tent camp. And that's why the next
Oh my
week we
gosh.
went and bought an RV because John had so much fun. And I was like, I will never do this again. And that's
Oh,
what, that's
you were
what,
in the hurricane?
we were in that,
Or
it's
in
like
that weather, yeah.
downpour up
Yeah.
in like Fraser Park or something. And
That's
yeah, that's
We've been in a downpour in a tent.
Yeah.
But some of the practical
horrible.
things I wrote down that our listeners might need to hear. Know where your gas shut off valve is,
Mm,
and know
really good.
about your electric. Just hit the
breakers.
breaker, the main breaker, and your water. You want
Yep.
to turn that off
Water
too.
main.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you need to locate them. And then what I've done, I took a pipe wrench and buried it over there or put it close by, so I wouldn't have to go looking for a wrench. to turn
Where's
it
your
off.
gas shut off? Is that like by your water heater usually?
Should be it should
Probably
be-
close.
Yeah, on the outside of your house, there's usually a pipe that comes in. It should be on a lever system. It's always good to check it too.
Yeah.
That makes sure it works. Because sometimes people don't check them for years and years and years, and they go to try to turn off their gas to their house,
Right.
and they can't because it's stuck.
And then two, then you have to go look for a wrench if you don't have one over there.
Yeah,
You have to
mine's.
go all over looking for a
I would
pipe
say
wrench.
I would say to everybody here, we know some really good plumbers. Florida Bound Plumbing, really good. He's not sponsored, but if you don't have a quick release shutoff valve on your gas and you need a wrench, it's probably $100
That's
charge,
true.
and you should just get it changed over.
I agree.
You shouldn't have to use a wrench. So a quick shutoff valve, they're
right.
really good now,
Right.
and I would get that
That
changed
is a
ASAP. Yeah.
good idea, Vince.
Yeah.
I'm going to do
I know
that
plumber does that.
Yeah, plumber does that. Yeah, plumber
gonna do
they do
that.
gas.
I
in the
didn't know
house.
that.
Yep.
because I know right
Makes
now
sense.
I got a pipe wrench there, but man, it might be a hard dude to turn off.
do not.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to that quick release. Go to that quick valve.
But they say that everybody needs a go bag. For one, for every member of your family.
Yeah.
It should be packed. And here's some stuff they said you should have in it.
My wife has one packed for me. Is that weird? Just kidding. I'm just
Go
kidding.
back.
Hey, I wouldn't be
Just for
surprised.
Yeah, just for me.
I wouldn't be surprised that Debbie doesn't. We went to Vegas this week, and I did as usual. I go, oh, you know what? I'm so hungry. What do you want? Here's peanut butter sandwich. Here's all this stuff. I said, I take caffeine. I got your caffeine thing. It's already in your pack. Debbie, I forgot my suitcase. I put your suitcase in the back. It's there. But
What
go
does she
bags.
get for your stress, though? That's the question.
Go bags. Have a local map, they said. That's interesting. Kids stuff. Snacks, dried fruit, bottled water. Now, this was very interesting because, see, water doesn't have that long of a shelf life. But I just read about something. They sell it, I think, on Amazon. And it's canned emergency water, 50-year shelf life.
Wow.
50 little cans, pop open cans. And then if you're going to get containers to put your water in, I'd get BPA-free containers. You can buy all this on Amazon.
You know, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I could get some water from the pool, but not that everyone has a pool, but, you know, I could share. But you'd have to boil it, probably, right? You have to boil it. But
Boil it and take some chlorine.
Then I'm thinking, like, well, then I have to have wood. And then I'm thinking, well, I've got a tree that I could cut down, but then I'm thinking I have to have a chainsaw. Oh, I have a chainsaw, but then I have to have
You're not going to cut down a green tree.
I have to have electricity.
You're
for my
thinking of
chainsaw.
this all wrong.
Yeah.
All wrong.
So let's go back to the water because I think this
Let
is
me
good.
finish Josh's question,
okay.
though.
Okay.
I bought a Coleman camp stove with a few things of butane.
That'll get you through an emergency.
That'll get you through an emergency.
That's
Or
true.
you normally
That's
in
true.
your house, don't you have a like a flat top grill?
I do.
Yeah, so you probably
Yeah.
have a can of propane in your house.
I have I have a little bit of that.
Yeah, so it's good to have.
But let
one or
me
two of
answer his
those.
question.
Yeah.
I already looked this up. You boil the water for 1 minute with your Coleman camper stove and treat it with chlorine bleach, 1 tablespoon per 10 gallons.
Mm.
And there's ways you can purify your water. I'm sorry, Vince, I cut you off.
No, you didn't cut me off. That's a good list. I was going to say, I think water is the most important thing. So in an emergency situation, you can survive without food for a long time. You can't survive without water.
Right.
And so one of the things that every household should think about having for $11 on Amazon or at Walmart, you can buy a life straw or a Sawyer kit. And those last a long time.
What? Say it again.
A life straw or a Sawyer kit. Sawyer is going to be a bag. It's used for backpacking and it hangs. You put any kind of water in there. So most people don't know this, and you start thinking about water use in general. Most of the water you drink from your faucet is recycled sewage water. Okay, so when you think about water, that's most water in our city. It's recycled sewage water. Our water is recycled constantly.
I know I don't like water now.
Yeah. Okay. So when you think about having to think about water and pulling it out of a river or pulling it from a source that you're not sure of, just remember that your water that's coming in your house is also being recycled. So a Sawyer or a Life Straw for $11 is a good investment. It can stay on the shelf for a long time.
The life straw is going to be tough because those are hard to extract water from. So the hanging bag is actually a really good idea.
Both are good though because the Sawyer. The reason why I like the Life Straw is because you could literally go into any water. So say there's a little puddle of water after rain it looks like mud.
Right.
You can literally dip that Life Straw in there
Right.
without clogging the filter.
Well, I bought you something, and I bought myself something too.
Those
a
are
little pump thing.
Those are life straws.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
and
have
then
those too.
they have something on Amazon too called Aquapill.
So that's the third thing
Is
I
that
have
the
in
same
here.
thing?
An AquaTab, and it's different. So you have Life Straw, Sawyer kit. Those are going to filter your water. An AquaTab is a tab that goes inside of your water, and those are good for backpacking too. You should always have those if you're off trail. But those will also purify your water for parasites.
But this is Aquapill.
It's an AquaTab.
And they said you pour through the filter in the Aquapill.
Oh, it's actually a filter. Okay,
yeah,
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of it either.
But it's
you
probably like a Life Straw or something.
You also need in your go bag first aid kit. We never think about that, and then some kind of meds. And I for sure, if I had to go through something, would want some colloidal silver. It serves like an antibiotic, and I'd want that. And clothes and shoes. Multi-tool knife. You know that one you got for Christmas you don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
That's a really good
those are
thing to
great.
have. Yep.
Jumper cables, light sticks, prescription drugs, which you would tend to forget, cash in small bills, flashlight, extra batteries, hand cranked radio if you can find one, matches, in some fireproof
Nicole's
container,
taking notes.
or not
Yes.
I
fireproof,
know.
but yeah,
That's what I was thinking. I was
Blankets.
just imagining people listening to this. They're like, oh gosh, what is...
blankets, sleeping bags, sanitation product, duct tape. Always need duct tape. Well, my wife is going to listen to this. She said, I want to hear it. But go packs. And again, well, let me ask you this question. You already seem to answer it. But let's go through it again. What's keeping you from being prepared? I wrote down 3 things. You just plumb lazy? That could be it. Number 2, denial. Never going to happen. Too much work. Once a year, you have to go through your kit and refreshing it. Are you going to look foolish? Well, you're not going to look foolish if something really comes and you're one of the ones out there prepared. I get it. I get all this stuff. But isn't something better than nothing?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
You have to start going through
Nikki's.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm lazy. Yes. I'm in denial. Yes. And do I not want to go through it? Yep. That's all true.
It's too. Well, I think the problem is you start reading through a list like that, and you're like, oh gosh, when am I going to have the time to do that? But
yeah, that's too big of. I mean,
you know
that's.
what I mean?
I think those are all good things to have. I think you should have all those things. If you can, most people do have these items in a household. They're just not in a go bag, you know. But you have to think about survival, right? Again, we talked about water. The water is important. You brought up, Josh, salt. Your body needs salt. Your family needs salt. So salt and water, not that you don't want to, have too much salt, but you need about 500 milligrams. Pastor, you probably even know better. Some people say 250 milligrams of salt every day to just live, just living. And so water and salt are important. And, it's easy to store salt.
You get salt pills too.
Yeah,
My dad took those when he worked in the oil fields, salt pills.
Josh, you mentioned fire in an emergency kit. You definitely want to have some kind of way to make a fire, whether it's, matches are kind of the go-to because they last the longest.
Right.
Lighter runs out of butane or runs out of, lighter fluid. I have a flint and stone because of backpacking. You never know when you're going to need it in an emergency situation. Again, this is like a $2 thing that you can pick up and you can make a fire with flint and stone anywhere. So being able to make a fire gives you access to clean water, also gives you access to cooking.
Do you know the code date on little butane cans?
I don't know. I don't know if butane cans would go out, to be honest. I mean, I've never had a butane can go out, but I'm sure they do. I mean,
because years ago, I just went and bought a Coleman stove.
That's smart.
Put it in my garage and got about 5 or 6 butane containers.
Mm-hmm.
Just to add to the fear of all this.
Don't know where it's at.
Because that's what I would like to do right now. Is Matthew 24:7, Jesus says, "For nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are but the beginning of birth pains."
So we should be expecting it.
So,
Debbie, where's my Coleman stove? Oh, you sold that in the garage sale 2 years ago.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So you know who's going to survive the best is those guys that have those rigs like you guys have, like those tents on top, and you guys have all that junk on it. And
no, people can survive. People live out on acreage like Vince is on.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Where you got all these natural resources, you got a river close by, and you have all this stuff. That's the people that's going to look pretty good.
Hey, I live by the river too.
Yeah, you're pretty close. I mean, your pool, honestly, if you have a pool, you have a huge advantage because it's a lot of water to survive on. But it's most of the stuff like what you talked about that you don't think of, like, okay, we can find water. Then how do you purify it? Okay, at the very least, $10 today could save your family a lot of, headache. And then again, the boiling thing.
Yeah, you should have a website up ready to go. For that.
I know, right? Plug. No, but seriously, we mentioned earthquakes. The first thing that's going to get shut off in an earthquake is natural gas, and electricity.
Oh yeah.
And so you won't have a way to boil or cook. And so having that camping stove, like Pastor said, or having a way to have a fire. is really, really
Well, what
important.
about too? I think I bought you one and Josh one. Solar generators.
So important.
Yeah,
Solar generators.
That's on my bougie list kit. Like those are things at the end. But when there's like prepping and then there's like bougie prepping where you're like, oh, I have a solar generator. Because the solar generator,
takes care of itself.
Yeah, you can absorb the sun and have endless amounts of power. A gas generator, right? It's limited on about the amount of gas that you have.
And then your gas goes bad.
You can get a solar generator. For you guys that are listening, because they can get pricey, but a small one can cost you about $250 with solar panels.
Small one.
And that would get you through an emergency where you could, do some cooking on it. You can do some small things.
Think of the bigger ones that we bought. I think were about $1,500 or something, and that will power a lot
your
of
house.
stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
It could power your house.
And I know a lot of people's out there going, "Oh, we don't want to hear about this." Josh just read you scriptures. Our future could have some of these things in it. And even in California, the fire, earthquake, both kind of scares us. And so I'm just saying, isn't anything better than having nothing?
How far do you want to go down this list? I have a list of important.
Vince, hey, my wife's sitting out here listening, wanting to hear all this. So you might mention something we don't have.
You originally wanted to call this podcast "Living Like Vince."
I did. I did teasingly say that.
You're funny. Yeah,
that's funny.
It is. I mean, and again, I'm not a professional. I mean, there's people that these people that go on these shows. They're really, really good. I'm really into Survivor or what's the other, Alone? Have you guys seen Alone
Yeah.
on Discovery?
That is a good show.
Oh, I love Alone on
Yeah.
Discovery.
It's interesting what gets them. Because
It's always water.
Well, not always. Sometimes it's a disease. Because like this one lady, she was eating. She couldn't find any food anywhere.
Oh.
She was catching mice and eating them.
Oh,
and
so
she got
gross.
sick.
So have
Oh,
you seen
gosh.
on Alone, Pastor? You would be so into Alone. You and Debbie would love it. They get to like day 30 and it's like in the winter and they get hungry and they're setting up traps with rocks and they're trapping mice with these little rock kits. So when they sit they'll put a little bit of something and they'll pull the thing
Oh my.
and then they'll skin and eat a
Oh.
mouse.
Disgusting.
I'd have to be so hungry.
So gross.
But the show is so intriguing. I love it. But going back to that, I do think everybody should have a good knife and should know how to break down a large and small animal or fish for that
Yeah.
matter. And I know it's something. It's a skill. It's a free skill that you can pick up. But one of my favorite.
free as in you still have to go get the animal though.
Well, yeah. I mean, fishing is probably the most accessible in the
right.
small game.
That's true.
One of my favorite things that happened in the last 2 years, I went quail hunting with your dad up in the mountains, and so I have my preparation of how I'm gonna clean this quail, and your dad grabs the quail and he just breaks it in half and just pulls it without a
Pulls his
knife,
breast out.
just pulls it all out and goes, "Here it is, I'm done." And I'm just sitting there going, "Oh," I had my little scissors out. I was overly prepared.
That's what you could do, surgery on that thing. Get the breast out and throw the rest away.
Oh, he had it down.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, it was like perfect. But again, a skill that he
You just
picked
put your
up.
thumb right here.
No,
Pop it out.
a skill he picked up when he was young. I've watched like how to master it, right? It's like how do you
Yeah.
preserve every piece. He's like, nope, bop. It took him 3 seconds, and I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
it's cold. Steam was coming off his hands. I was like, oh,
Cutting
this
up
is
a
crazy.
fish is not that hard. I mean, that's something. People
It'll
can learn.
surprise you how many people don't know how to clean a fish properly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's true. It's true.
And again, it's not something that's
I'm
super.
in this boat again.
Yeah. You start with. I think starting with the fish is really good. Like
Yeah.
learning how to clean a fish.
Oh,
out
let's start with a
properly.
deer. Let's start with a deer.
And then bird, like you said, small game.
Yeah.
Learning how to clean
Well,
a bird.
that's a good point. Like, how many people know how to slaughter a cow?
They don't.
Like that, I don't know how to slaughter a cow. I'd be like,
Well, I know the
I
first
think
time.
you'd figure it out.
I'd
First
figure it
time
out.
I cleaned a deer, I'm like, 18 years old, 17, 18. I cut it open the hillside, roll my sleeves up, stick my hands in there, and this smell hits me. I thought I was going to pass out. I went, and you guys know how picky I am with washing your hands. and stuff.
right.
But when you're in the woods, you start eating a sandwich right
Oh,
afterwards.
no.
You don't even think about
we
it.
need a disclaimer for this episode. If you love animals,
If you love animals. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about eating. And really,
No,
honestly,
right.
when we
well, you're talking
hunted
about
deer,
surviving though.
when
too,
we
you know?
hunted deer at 18, 22, 25, 26, your mother and I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
We were poor.
So that meat.
And if we
meant
got a
something.
deer, that supplied our meat for almost a whole year.
Yep.
And so
It is really nice. Yes, I can go to the grocery store. One of the things we're teaching our young ones now is how meat is processed and how, because she asks a lot of questions about hunting and, and I tell her, it's like, it's a sustainable source of food. And
Your vegan daughter.
yeah, she's not. She eats deer. And so I'm proud of her. She eats venison. But we just had venison steaks just a couple nights ago,
Yeah.
and she was asking questions like,
I
how do
remember-
you get to this point? Because all she sees is the deer,
Yeah.
and she's looking at a steak,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, well, you have to learn how to break down the animal, and so it's good to know how to live sustainably. Because
Process
most
it, yeah,
people, if you were to open up a fish today and you were to accidentally eat some part of the fish that you weren't supposed to, it can make you sick, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with the small animal. If you were to eat the intestine of a bird, it can make you sick. And then deer, right? If you were to open up a part, it can make you septic. And so I think knowing how to break down an animal, especially in a survival
That's
situation,
true.
we're talking about prepping today. We're not talking about, yes, we can go buy burgers from burger meat from Sprouts
Right.
today, but we're talking about, learning how to do this stuff. It's a free process.
Nikki will love this one.
Great.
I've been a hunter all my life. I was raised that way, hunting stuff and killing and eating it. In fact, we couldn't kill anything without eating it. Well, you don't kill something, you don't eat it. Josh learned that one day. I took him, I was little, and we were hunting, and we shot a bird. And I said, okay, that's all we got today. You only saw one bird. Now we got to go home and clean him and, gut him and eat him. And Josh said, we're going to eat him? I said, you have to. You shot him. You
Yeah.
have to eat him. But Nikki, you'll love this story or you'll hate it. My whole thought pattern about quail hunting has really been scarred. One day in the mountains, I live in the mountains part-time, a quail flew into our window and it fell over and it was dying. It was a little female quail. The male was right behind it, and he stayed under my car for 3 hours and would not leave the side of that female. See, I think they mate with one quail. I don't know how they tell them apart, but they all look alike. But he stayed there. I went outside and I couldn't even hardly scare him off. He was determined to stay by her. And I thought, do I ever want to hunt quail again?
Yeah, it's sad.
I don't. That's sad.
It is sad, but it's like, in a way, I mean, you can go back to biblical days and the slaughtering of animals for sacrificial sin. Like, it shows us that there has to be a sacrifice in order for life to happen, and there's a real lesson in that. And it's super sad, but that's just kind of the way it is. Although,
I think some people that don't like hunting and stuff, they weren't as poor as we were.
Although I will say, for those of you vegans out there, you might have a case biblically if you were to read Genesis, because God said He put the plants there for food.
Yeah,
It doesn't say anything about the animals, but
but that changed.
it did change. Changed
And
fairly
so,
And I think the part of the conversation going back to just, I know people are sensitive about animal stuff sometimes, but if you partake in eating out in restaurants and and you eat burger, I'm not
You
talking about
eat
vegans.
anything.
If you eat any meat, if you eat meat,
even vegetables.
those animals
die,
are treated
unfortunately.
way more cruel than hunters. Hunters are
Amen.
very swift and they do a good job. I should say 90% of them. There are some bad people that do bad things to animals, and of course we don't condone that.
Most
but
hunters have a respect for
respect. They want to
wildlife.
kill the animal quickly, and they eat all of it. I don't know anybody that trophy. Nobody I know trophy hunts just to kill an animal.
I trained Josh that way.
Yeah.
That if you are going to kill it, you eat it. If you're not going to eat it, you don't kill it.
Right. I mean, our kids, when we go fishing, sometimes we catch and release sometimes, but there's moments where we don't catch where you accidentally kill the fish. I'm like, we got to eat it.
Yep.
We didn't plan to eat it, but now we got to eat it. And so
I'm just laughing
our
because
kids know.
we went into Mammoth and
yeah.
rented a boat, and when we were,
I ate all those
it happened
fish.
to be the biggest fish day that I've ever seen in my whole entire life. It was wild. But Vince and a couple of guys, I didn't have my license with me. I'm so stupid, but I couldn't fish.
The girls
So
were fishing though.
The girls were kind of fishing. Yeah, they were just throwing a pole and whatever. But it was funny because they were all about catching the fish, but in their minds, it's like, oh, you catch fish, like you catch them and you play with them, you pet them, and you put them back. And then they realize that they're going to get killed, and they're like, what? They were so mad and they were so upset. They ended up eating fish later that night, though.
They did eat fish that
And
night for
so,
dinner. Yeah, we cleaned them
So
all
that was
out.
a good lesson for them to learn.
Lasted a long time too. It was good. That was another thing that I had on my list is a bag of hooks and fishing string. That goes a long way. You can catch insects and fish with insects in small
true.
creeks and rivers, and
Go
you can
dig up some
survive.
worms.
Yep. And so just having a
The scary
bag of
thing
hooks.
to me when I look at society where we're headed is we're already so more reliant than we even know on infrastructure. We're more reliant on just the electrical grid, internet, infrastructure, communications, all these things, right? And it's going to get worse. The way that technology is advancing, we're going to rely more even. Like if AI takes off like they think it's going to, and even if the best case scenario, okay? Best case scenario, and there's a lot of worst case scenarios, but the best case scenario is people don't work and they rely fully on AI for their income and their bread and water, right? So it's like in that case, people either will learn how to do these things, or they will get incredibly lazy. And if you look at human nature, I have a feeling the people, if it goes that direction, I don't know if it'll go that far. If it does, people are going to be incredibly lazy, and if it goes down at that point, it's like mass extinction. It really is extinction. You know what I mean?
We're gonna be like Wall-E. Have you watched that movie?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
where
good
they're
one.
like all in
Yeah.
motorized cars
Yes,
or like
and they're
little wheelchair things.
Yeah, they're
and
all
they're obsessed over one plant.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they made that movie.
That was a good
Disney,
movie.
but it was really good. Yeah.
Isn't there an advantage to to probably being in a church where everybody, I think, would share.
Yes.
100%.
We would share, and
I love
it would
that.
be really advantageous.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, if you're part of a community, that's going to
Yes.
help. That's going to probably make it or break it if you need it. And so it's just hard to say what's going to happen in the world. I think that we're in a place right now that nobody ever predicted. Like, we're in a place right now where it's like the advancement of technology has moved so fast, and you think that's a good thing, but it's actually made us way more reliant. And that's the scary part. And so as Christians, I'm not really afraid. I'm trying to follow the Lord, but this might be, part of it is just being prepared a little bit. I think, like you said, Vince, you said something really good. You said a little bit is better than nothing. And I think that's a good mentality to have.
Well, Vince, you had some good ideas there. You got any more you want to suggest to us?
I think having a walkie-talkie system is really, really important because when communication went down, you just mentioned it. It's good to be able to communicate, especially if somebody has to leave the house. Where, like, say somebody had to go out and get something, they could radio back and say. So 2-mile radios aren't that expensive to be had, and you can
Get a lot of batteries.
And yes, and that was the other thing is batteries. That would be another thing.
2 mile, like they
can go 2 miles.
2
Where they
miles.
can reach 2 miles. So if you had to go get gas and you've all of a sudden seen something.
What are those radios that they advertise? I feel like you're going to know this. They advertise where they can use them anywhere. Like, it's like
They rely on
satellite-based.
satellite. Yeah,
Are they
that'd
really
be
expensive or something?
Well, the problem is they rely on satellites.
Why is that a problem?
Well, if satellite systems go down.
If they do,
Yeah, I'm just, it's one of those things is, how much do you just said it. How much do you trust infrastructure?
Right.
What is and what isn't going to go down?
How about 2 cars? If you have an old car that's not got a computer chip in it,
Yeah.
might be your advantage. But then even beyond that, electric bike's going to be charged. But if you had some way to charge it, it doesn't take a lot of a charge. I'm trying to think of transportation.
Yeah.
What could you get that? Because if there's, the grid goes out totally. I mean, the computers in the cars could be affected.
Would it
I
be
would think.
hard to set up your solar system on top of your house to you'd have to have batteries, right? Obviously, that's
A battery system, yeah, and that starts because again, if the grid goes down, and you have solar panels on your roof, sure you can MacGyver wires and stuff.
I'm wondering,
but you'd have to have some kind of battery charging. Again, I don't know why I know all these things. These are the things that when you think I'm looking at my phone and I'm bored,
bro. That's like
it is my full entertainment. Harbor Freight has a solar system kit.
You're Joseph.
Harbor Freight has a solar system kit that has a full battery charging system in it, and it's Harbor Freight. So if you know Harbor Freight, it's really inexpensive, but it has a solar panel and a way to convert to like a car battery, so you can keep your car battery charged and actually use your car battery as a way to keep electric.
One thing I'd really, really stress to all of us up here is just in case you lose your cell phones, have Vince's number in your
That's right.
GoPro.
Yeah.
Have his phone number written out.
Now you
You're
have to have
talking
smoke
about-
signals.
You have to have cell.
Smoke signals.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah, you got to get it. No, I mean, there's so many little things, but again, this is all knowledge that people don't care about anymore.
The biggest question I have right now of all of this is Tyler ready?
Oh no.
Tyler was born ready.
He knows me. I feel like every time my friends say that,
Tyler just woke up.
I know who I'm calling first. I'm actually, this is surprising. My first number to call or to get a hold of would be you, Pastor Ron, right? And be like, hey, what's our plan? Because I know he'd be all in with me on the plan.
Yes, I would.
And then we would get all of our supplies together, and then we would get all of our people that we know, and we'd get ourselves set up for all the people in our community.
Well, if I buy that house next door to you out there,
Yeah, we'd be set.
we'd be set. We'd have fruit. We'd have everything in the world.
Yeah, that'd be set.
I'm
Yeah.
just glad I'm in this community right
You're
here.
good, Nicole.
Right here,
Don't
just-
worry.
I'm
right
gonna
here at this
count on you
table.
guys, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we owe
I'm
it to
gonna
our
go
kids.
buy a tent trailer after this.
We owe it to our kids. We owe it to our family to be somewhat prepared.
Yeah.
And, we got to think about a lot of things, and we could talk about that on another show. But, if I'm cut off to where I can't see how you guys are all doing and we don't have any communication, there's a lot of things to think about. What do we do?
Well, that's an easy, they always say have a go plan. And in your go plan, you should say, hey, there's a meetup spot. We all meet up. And, you've seen this in movies before. If it all goes wrong, we're all going to meet up at, the 76 station on this, and we're all going to get a plan.
A central place.
But we don't, those are things that we think that's not going to happen. In our mind, we're like, that won't happen.
Right.
But we just never know what's going to happen.
Would it be good just to have a bicycle in your garage? I don't even own a bicycle.
Yeah.
I got the girls' bicycles a little bit
not
anyways.
bad.
The thing is, you do own bicycles. You just don't use them.
I do? Oh, I got electric bikes.
I think you're more set up than you even
I've used
know.
them one time and I forgot they're all flat.
Oh gosh.
They got spider
It's not gonna
webs
get
on them.
far.
Yeah, I think you're surviving a couple apocalypses with your setup, so I think you'll be good.
Well, I don't know. Anything else we want to say on this topic, or are we out of here on a short one today?
Well, I was going to read about the actual dangers of AI, but we can get there next time. We'll turn this into the Scare You podcast.
Honestly, I would be if I heard this podcast today, I'd be super encouraged knowing there are little things that I can do that is not that hard. And again,
if anything, this is a really good advertisement for get involved in your local church.
There you go.
These guys know stuff.
Yeah, because
You always have somebody in the church that knows something you don't.
Heck yeah. No,
And,
it's like a little community. I mean, it is a community. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, it
I
is.
feel like people would go to the actual church.
Yeah.
if something
VBF,
happened.
9 o'clock Sunday and 11
That's
o'clock
right.
Sunday.
That's
Sign up
right.
for a small group.
I think at
involved.
the church, though, this is making me think we need to beef up our food room a little bit.
Oh. Yeah.
That's
By the
true.
way, I will
Seriously.
plug this because this comes out. This is on Thursday. We do this week at VBF. It's our serve week, and so you're invited to come out this Saturday, May 2nd, and serve with us at the park. But the reason why I mentioned that was on Wednesday, May 6th, the day after Cinco de Mayo. We are actually collecting food for our food room. And so if you
great.
want to be part of
nice.
that's part of Serve Week. And so if
good.
you want to bring
next
canned
week.
food, or if you want to bring drying food into next week, next Wednesday, you can bring it to 20.
Do you have a list of what you need more than
There's
other
a
stuff?
whole, yes. If you go to the website, there's a QR code or a link to Amazon. We have an Amazon wish list.
If you got through this whole podcast, which congratulations if you did that too.
I think I think they're on Amazon right now shopping for all the things that we talked about.
Vince'sPrepperKits.com.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not really a website.
Well, you know
No,
what?
it's not.
This topic came to me through my wife. She says, "Why don't you talk about this? I would love to hear a podcast on this, and I know other people would like to hear it." So hopefully we helped you a little bit, gave you some ideas, and if nothing else, we motivated you that something is better than nothing. I know Nicole's going home right now.
I got a list.
and getting on her Amazon.
I need to go get like a good ice chest. I'm like thinking about all these things.
Yeah. Yep.
Anything's better than nothing.
That's right.
So love you guys. Hope to hear from you soon. Have a good one.
How do you get ice?
You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright. The kind you wanna stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control. The ones that don't let you lose your soul.